Level 1, the Karting Kid. You are 7 years old. You are sitting in a cart at a small track outside of town on a Sunday morning. The cart is not yours. Your father rented it for your birthday. It smells like gasoline, hot rubber, and something chemical that you will never be able to name but will never forget. You push the pedal and the cart moves, and you feel something happen inside your chest that you don't have words for yet. You are 7 years old. You don't have words for much of anything yet, but you feel it. You go around the track 11 times before your father waves you in. You don't want to stop. You sit in the cart after the engine cuts out and you stare at the track and you feel the absence of speed like a physical thing, like something was taken from you. You ask your father if you can go again. He looks at the price board. He says maybe next time. 3 weeks later, your father comes home with a cart in the back of his truck, used, red, scratched on the left side from someone else's accident. He spent $4,000 that wasn't in the family budget. He doesn't tell you that. He just watches your face when you see it. You race at a local club event 6 months later. 12 kids on the track. You finish fourth, you are devastated. Not because fourth is bad, because first exists and you weren't in it. Your father stands watching from the fence. He is already running numbers in his head that he won't share with you for years. Level 2, the junior driver. You are 13 years old, and your family has spent $200,000 on your racing career. That number means nothing to you yet. You have never paid a bill. You have never sat across from a bank manager and explained why you need to refinance a house. Your father has done all of those things because of you. You race in regional karting championships now. You travel on weekends to tracks in other states. Your mother packs a bag on Thursday nights and unpacks it on Sunday evenings. Your younger sister sits in the back of the van asking when you will come home to play. You are always leaving. That is all she knows about you. You win races. Not all of them. Enough of them. Enough that the people who watch these things start writing your name in their notebooks. Scouts from junior programs, talent managers who work on commission, men in fleece vests with lanyards around their necks who can spot a fast kid the way a jeweler spots a real stone. One of them approaches your father at a race in Ohio. He says your son has something. He says with the right program, the right car, the right investment, this could go somewhere real. He hands your father a card. He does not mention that this conversation happens 50 times a year and maybe 2 of those kids ever get close to where he is pointing. By the time you turn 14, you are in a single-seater, Formula 4, your first open-wheel race. The downforce pushes your body into the seat at 4 times the force of gravity through corners. Your neck aches for 3 days after your first test session. You build a neck strengthening routine. You are 14 years old and you have a physical training routine. Your friends from school play video games on Saturday afternoons. You are doing data reviews with your engineer at a circuit in Europe. The engineer is 26. He points at telemetry screens and says things like brake application point and exit understeer, and you nod and learn the language because the only alternative is falling behind. Falling behind at 14 in motorsport means you are done. Your family has spent $350,000. The number grows every month like a plant nobody waters, but that keeps growing anyway. Level 3, the F3, F2 prospect. You are 17 years old and you have a manager, not a parent acting as a manager, an actual manager. He takes 15%. He has 3 other clients. He calls you every Sunday to talk about your career. He uses the word trajectory a lot. He talks about which teams are watching, which sponsors are interested, and what a strong result at the next race could mean for your program. You barely understand what a program is. But you listen. You always listen now. You race in the European Formula 3 Championship. You live out of a suitcase from March to November. Barcelona, Monaco, Silverstone, Monza, Spa. The names that used to be posters on your bedroom wall are now pit lane addresses you park your equipment van beside. The other drivers are your age. Some are younger. A 15-year-old from Austria qualified 2/10 of a second faster than you last weekend. 2/10. The width of a blink. The distance between a future and a footnote. Your family has spent $1.2 million. You did not learn that from your father or your mother. You found a bank document on the kitchen counter one evening when you came home. You did not understand all of it, but you understood enough. You put it back exactly where you found it. You did not ask. They did not tell. Your family has learned to protect each other through silence. At the end of the season, Red Bull invites you into their junior program, the Red Bull Junior Team. The program that produced Vettel, Ricardo, Verstappen. You sign the contract at their factory in Milton Keynes. No salary. No guarantees, simulator access, technical support, and a place on their list. That list has around 20 names on it. They only need 2 or 3 people at the end. You move into Formula 2 the following year, the last step before Formula 1. You finish third in the championship, good enough to accumulate the super license points you need, good enough to stay on the list. You are 20 years old and you have spent your entire life getting to a starting line that most people never reach. The race itself has not begun yet. You call your father that night. He goes quiet for a moment before he speaks. He says he is proud of you. You hear that. You also hear what he does not say, that he hopes this is enough, that he hopes the years were worth it, that he hopes you are one of those 2 or 3 people. Level 4, the reserve driver. You are 21 years old, 4 years inside the Red Bull system. F3, then F2, enough super license points. They move you up to reserve driver for both teams, Red Bull Racing and AlphaTauri. You have a contract. You have a salary. You do not have a race seat. Your actual job is the simulator. 2 to 3 days a week at the factory in Milton Keynes. You run laps nobody watches. You generate data for the engineers to understand the car. You report on handling feel, setup feedback, comparisons between different versions of aerodynamic components. You are the most precise measuring instrument the team has. Nobody calls you that, but it is the truth. At race weekends, you stand in the garage, watching telemetry screens, listening to the race driver's radio through your headset. You wear the team uniform, you are in the paddock, you are closer than any driver on the outside, and you still do not race. In September, Ricardo breaks a bone in his hand during practice at Zandvoort. AlphaTauri needs a driver for the remaining 4 rounds of the season. 4 years in the system, hundreds of hours in the simulator, super license in hand. This is why reserve drivers exist. They call you. You finish 8th at Monza, 1 point. You make no mistakes across 4 races. That is everything you can control. The car does the rest. You know that. The journalists do not. They write about you like a new discovery. You read those articles and close the tab. At the end of the season, Red Bull calls you into a short meeting. 2 people from management. They say you did good work. They say they will not be renewing your contract. There is a younger driver in their pool, faster in the simulator. Not by much, but enough. They wish you luck. You thank them and leave. You stand in the factory car park for a while. It is cold. 4 years inside the Red Bull system. 4 Grand Prix starts, 8 points, and now nothing. You take out your phone. You call your father. He picks up immediately. Level 5, the Backmarker. You are 22 years old and you have a full-time F1 seat. Not Red Bull, not Ferrari, Haas, an American team at the back of the pit lane. Your name on the car is real. Your race number is real. You have been waiting for this since you were 7 years old. Your team's budget is $100 million a season. That sounds like a lot until you learn that Red Bull spends over $400 million. The car you drive is 1.5 seconds per lap slower than theirs. 1.5 seconds in Formula One is a different world. You can drive every corner perfectly, make 0 mistakes, and still finish 20 seconds behind the slowest Mercedes on the grid. To get this seat, your manager spent 6 months knocking on doors at companies across the country. You walked into the most important meetings yourself, sat in boardrooms, wore a suit, shook hands, smiled at the right moments, said the right things, convinced people that their logo on an F1 car was worth millions of dollars. There were dinners where you sat talking about brand image and marketing reach, while your mind was running through the breaking point at turn 11. This is part of the job. Nobody told you that when you were sitting in a cart at 7 years old, your first season you score 4 points. 4 points across 23 races. You know that is the best result possible in this car. The journalists do not know that. They write about you as an average driver taking a seat from someone more deserving. You read those articles. You should stop. You cannot stop. In the paddock, you are invisible in a different way. The Red Bull driver Al steps out of the motorhome and cameras automatically follow. The Mercedes driver walks past and people move aside. You walk the same path 5 minutes later and nobody looks up. You have been dreaming about Formula One since you were 7 years old. You are here now, and you are still invisible. At the end of the season, Haas calls you into the office. They want to keep you, but they need to make sure the commercial package is strong enough for next year. You understand what that means. You nod. You will be back in boardrooms for another 6 months. You walk out and call your father. He asks how it went. You tell him they renewed. He says good. Both of you pause for a moment. Both of you know that good is not what you were aiming for at 7 years old, but you are still here. And in Formula One, still being here is not nothing. Level 6, the Midfield Driver. You are 25 years old. Haas did not renew, not because you performed badly. The commercial package that year was not strong enough. Another team calls, Alpine, a French team with a $200 million budget, trying to climb from the midfield into the front group. They do not need you to bring money. They need you to drive fast. This is the first time in your career someone has chosen you purely for your speed. The car is different, not in terms of outright pace. Alpine is still almost a second per lap behind Red Bull, but the car is good enough to race. Good enough to fight McLaren and Aston Martin on track. Good enough to finish in the top 8 when everything goes right. You had forgotten what this felt like, having a real racing car underneath you. Race 8 of the season, Monaco. It starts raining in the middle of the race. Everyone pits for wet tires. You and your engineer decide to stay out a few more laps. A gamble. When you finally pit and rejoin, you are in 8th place. You do not know how long it will last. You just drive. The faster cars catch up and pass. You finish 10th. 1 point. In the garage after the race, your chief engineer shakes your hand. It is the first time he has done that all season. The next race, Spa, lap 2. The car ahead of you loses control and disappears into the barrier. The sound of the impact. Smoke. The race is stopped. You park your car on the track and wait. Nobody says anything over the radio. You look toward the smoke at the top of the hill, and for the first time in your career, you think about something other than the race, other than the points, about what you were sitting inside and what you were doing with it. Then they announce the race will restart. You drive to the finish. You do not remember what position you finished. You finished in Canada, your second season with Alpine. No rain, no luck. Your car is faster than the car ahead, and you pass them on track with real speed. The engineer says well done over the radio. His voice sounds different from the handshake at Monaco. Different in a way you cannot describe, but feel immediately. Your teammate is faster than you in most races that season, not by much, but enough that the team prioritizes him when the important decisions are made. You learn to live with that. Your teammate is the only benchmark in Formula One that you cannot explain away with car performance or weather or bad luck. That gap exists every week, week after week, and it says something you do not want to look at directly. At the end of the season, your name appears in conversations about better seats for next year. Not Red Bull, not Ferrari, but maybe McLaren, maybe Aston Martin. Names you did not allow yourself to think about 2 years ago. You call your father that night. He asks how the season went. You tell him it was good. This time you actually mean it. Level 7, the race winner. You are 28 years old and you are driving for McLaren. 2 seasons at Alpine, 28 points, then 41 points. Consistency they could not ignore. McLaren signs you for $8 million a season. For the first time in your life, you do not have to think about money. Race 6 of the season, Silverstone. You lead the final 12 laps. Not because you have the fastest car, because the strategy was right and you make no mistakes. Your engineer updates the gap every 3 laps. You do not think about winning. You think about each corner, each breaking point. This is how you have always done it. You cross the finish line. Checkered flag. The Silverstone crowd is so loud you cannot hear what your engineer is saying over the radio. You do your slow down lap. You stop the car, you climb out and look up at the results screen. Your name is in first place. You stand there for a moment. On the podium, champagne soaks your face. A journalist asks how you feel. You say the right things. Thank the team, thank the car. This is a result for everyone. You walk into the changing room. You sit down alone. You take out your phone and call your father. He picks up immediately. You start to say something. You cannot. He does not say anything either. Both of you are silent for about 10 seconds. Then you hear him, not words, just his breathing. You realize this is the first time you have ever heard your father cry, not from sadness. You do not know what to call it. You do not need to call it anything. 15 minutes later, your engineer knocks on the door. The team is waiting for the data review meeting. 17 races left in the season. You stand up, you open the door, you walk out. Level 8, the champion. You are 31 years old and you are world champion. 8 race wins in a single season. 23 points more than the second-place driver after 23 races. Your name is now on a list you have been reading since you were a child. Senna, Prost, Schumacher, Hakkinen, Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen. And now you. You win the championship in Abu Dhabi, the final race of the season. You do not need to win. You just need to finish in the top 8. You finish 3rd. When the checkered flag appears, your engineer confirms it over the radio. You do not do anything for a moment. You just drive. The car moves in a straight line down the pit straight, and you look ahead. You do not cry. You do not shout. You just breathe. The following season, every team builds their car to beat you. Every driver wants your title. You were always the one chasing. Now you are the one being chased. That feels completely different. Nobody prepares you for that. Your schedule is no longer yours. McLaren wants you at marketing events. Sponsors want you to appear. Journalists want interviews. You count and realize that in 1 week of the off-season, you have 3 days with nothing in the calendar. 3 days. You use them to sleep. There was someone you wanted to be with. That relationship lasted 2 years before she said something you had no answer to. that she felt like she was dating a Formula One calendar, not you. You did not deny it. You also did not know how to change it. She left. You kept racing. You see your father again at an FIA gala in Monaco. He is wearing a suit. He looks smaller than you remember. He stands at the edge of the room while people line up to take photos with you. You spot him from across the room and signal to him. He shakes his head. It means it is fine. Carry on. You carry on. You do not know why that moment stays with you longer than any of the photograph nets you took that night. You get home after the gala at 2 in the morning, your apartment in Monaco, looking out over the harbor. You sit on the balcony alone. Below you are the yachts of some of the wealthiest people in the world. You are the Formula One world champion. You are sitting alone at 2 in the morning. You do not know how many people in the world understand what it feels like to be sitting exactly where you are sitting, probably not many. That does not make you any less alone. Level 9, the legend. You are 36 years old, 3 world championships. Your name needs no introduction at any paddock in the world. The press calls you a legend. You hear that word and do not know what to do with it. Legend is a word people use for those who are finished. You are still racing. The car is slower than last year, not because McLaren has stopped trying, because Red Bull and Ferrari have caught up. Formula One does not still and wait for you. You finish 5th this season, then 7th, then 4th. Not bad, not enough. The press starts writing about decline. You read those articles, and this time you close the tab faster than before. Your teammate is 22 years old. He is faster than you in qualifying, not every time, but often enough that the team starts building strategy around him instead of you. You were once the young driver in the garage looking up at the experienced one. Now you are that experienced driver. You do not know when that happened. McLaren calls you into a meeting at the end of the season, not to renew, to talk about the future. They say the polite things, your contribution to the team, your legacy, what you have built here. You sit and listen, and you know what those words mean. You have used similar words yourself when talking to others. They are retiring you politely. You thank them. You leave. You drive home that evening. Not a race car, your ordinary car that you use every day. You stop at a red light and watch people crossing the road. Nobody looks back at you. You have sat inside cars that can reach 300 kilometers an hour, and now you are waiting for a green light like everyone else. You do not know how you feel about that. The light turns green, you drive on, you call your father. He asks how the meeting went. You tell him it is over. He is quiet for a moment. Then he says he is proud of you. You hear that, and this time it sounds different. Not because the words are different, because you are different. You know he has been saying those words since you were 7 years old, every time you needed to hear them. You still need to hear them. Some things do not change, no matter how many world championships you have. Level 10, the ghost. You are 43 years old, 7 years since your last race. You live in Monaco because that is where you moved when you were 28, and you never really left. In the mornings, you drink coffee on the balcony, looking out over the harbor. The yachts are still there. You still do not have one, you do not want one, you just like looking at them. Formula One continues without you. You watch races on television sometimes. Not all of them. Sometimes you turn one on and switch it off 15 minutes later because your brain is still analyzing every corner, every pit decision, every small mistake the drivers on screen are making. You cannot watch Formula One like a normal person. You probably never will. Your father died last year, peacefully in his sleep at 78. You went home to take care of things. You sat in the kitchen where you once found the bank document on the counter 25 years ago. The kitchen looked smaller than you remembered. Everything always looks smaller when you go back. You sat there for a long time without doing anything. People invite you to be an ambassador, a commentator, to attend events. You are selective. You go to the ones you want to go to and decline the ones you do not. For the first time in 30 years, you have the right to do that. That freedom arrived later than you expected, and it is quieter than you expected. Sometimes you drive past the karting track where you raced for the first time when you were 7 years old. The track is still there, smaller than you remember. Kids still race on it at weekends. You pull over and watch for a while. You do not get out of the car. You just watch. Somewhere today, at a small track outside of some town, a 7-year-old is sitting in their first kart. Their father is standing by the fence. The child pushes the pedal and feels something happen inside their chest that they do not have words for yet. They do not know where it will lead. They do not know their father will remortgage the house. They do not know about the boardrooms, the simulators, the races in the rain, the girl who left because she could not compete with a race calendar, the nights sitting alone on a balcony in Monaco, the father standing at the edge of a crowd, shaking his head, saying, "It is fine, carry on." They only know that speed makes everything disappear. And they want that feeling again. The cycle continues.